Good evening, Board of Supervisors. I am Lakin Whipke.
I am Sarah Tyson.
I'm Jacob Roy.
And I'm Keith Lassard.
Jacob and I are both sorry that we cannot be in attendance for this meeting. Unfortunately, the rain yesterday moved our district tournament games from softball and baseball to today. We wanted to present to you as planned, so we made this recording in class today. I hope you enjoy. At the Commonwealth Attorney's Office with Mr. Derek Kreider on the effect of House Bill 2038.
The Commonwealth Attorney's Office is located on North Kent Street in downtown Winchester. The main purpose of this agency is to prosecute defendants who are being charged with any sort of crime or penalty, including violent crimes, theft, traffic violations, etc. The partisan bill was passed with Democratic Party support and went into effect in July of 2021. This bill changed the penalties in regards to probation violations and only applies to technical violations. A technical violation occurs when a person fails to comply with a condition of their supervision. For example, they missed a check-in or failed a drug test. House Bill 2038 is intended to address discrepancies in the legal system in regards to over-sentencing and incarceration for minor offenses and infractions while on your supervised probationary period.
On this slide, we listed the conditions of probation, which tell you what rules and behaviors you must demonstrate while on probation. When you break any condition, 2 through 11, House Bill 2038 sentencing guidelines are at play. The only way to violate condition 1 is to commit a whole new crime different to that of what you were on probation for. This is why House Bill 2038 only applies to conditions 2 through 11. Our research shows that the vast majority of probationers are violating condition 8, which deals with use and possession of drugs and controlled substances. Per multiple professionals we have interviewed, it is estimated that 85% of cases stem from drug use or dependencies. Conditions 6 and 11 also have been involved in a large percentage of the probation violation data we have researched. Condition 6 having to deal with disobeying their probation officer's instructions, and Condition 11, which says the defendant cannot abscond, meaning go on the run and not report to their probation officer at all. Both of these are commonly seen. Important guideline changes to look out for are that the bill limits the amount of active incarceration a court can impose as a result of a revocation hearing for a probation violation in regards to a technical violation, which is, again, conditions 2 through 11. On a first violation, the active sentence that can be imposed is no active jail time. On a second violation, the active incarceration that can be imposed is 14 days. There are exceptions to these rules, such as a criminal offense involving a firearm, sexual offenders, and absconders. In these circumstances, the judge has more discretion to impose longer active jail time. Also, the maximum length of probation a defendant can be sentenced to is a 5-year term.
This shows the difference in sentencing before and after House Bill 2038. Over to the left in the before section, they list what violation number they are on and how many months in jail you would be sentenced to. On the right, this was after July 2021, where the people on probation received a significantly shorter sentence. From this statistic from the Sentencing Commission and the data that we have personally researched, we have concluded that the new sentencing guidelines are causing defendants to receive dramatically less active incarceration than prior to the guidelines changes. Before the bill was passed, when you committed any number probation violation, you would be sentenced to the full balance of your jail sentence, likely multiple years. As a result of relaxed penalties, defendants are not as impacted by their punishment. The data is limited at this time, but we expect defendants will be more likely to reoffend faster, thus keeping them stuck in the criminal justice system cycle.
Here we have the percentages of times before or after the law changed that the judges are sentencing within the guideline recommendations. Before the House bill was passed, the percentages of judges in concurrence to the guidelines for a technical first was around 55%. For a technical second, it was around 56.8%, and for a technical third, it was around 35.4%. After the law, the percentage of judges in concurrence with the guidelines for a technical first was 98.8%. For a technical second, it was 97.2%, and for a technical third, it was 69.3%. You can see here that after the law, judges were almost always in concurrence with the guidelines. If you take a look to the right, judges are the most likely to be in concurrence with the guidelines, which means that they follow them strictly. The biggest change to notice here is the aggravation column. Aggravation means that the judges are giving a longer sentence than the guidelines suggest. This just simply rarely happens anymore. On average, judges now are imposing increased jail sentences in only 3.4% of cases. The new House bill is directly related to the fact that the guidelines have taken away the judge's discretion on what they can hand out.
We do believe there are some positives that came out of the new sentencing guidelines. When we took a visit to the local detention center, they informed us that defendants on probation are no longer sitting in jail for lengthy amounts of time for minor infractions. Data also supports that the guidelines have promoted more equal jail sentence lengths imposed in jurisdictions throughout Virginia. and defendant can expect more consistency and transparency in regards to the jail sentence that will be imposed at violation. Our research shows that the prosecutors have ended up spending less time on each case, which prosecutor Heather Enlow could agree with. This is due to defendants being more likely to enter a guilty plea rather than taking the case to a lengthy trial. This is a result of the defendant being motivated to plead guilty because there is a lack of jail time they face.
Even though the intention behind the bill was to fight over incarceration on technical violation for probation, our research has led us to conclude that there is more harm than good that has been done. Because the guidelines for technical violations give the defendant fewer consequences for violating their probation on the first 2 attempts, early data points to defendants being more likely to reoffend. Before House Bill 2038 was passed, the Sentencing Commission was on their way to creating guidelines based on historical data and extensive research. This was scrapped because of House Bill 2038 getting passed. These such guidelines that were in progress would have counteracted the issues listed above.
Other issues at stake include problems in regards to defendants' ability to obtain help, whether it's rehab, parenting, anger management, education, or job skills. Sitting in jail is not an effective treatment for any of these. Defendants are far less likely to agree to a long-term treatment program, sometimes a year plus, versus pleading guilty and facing no jail time. Defendants who may actually need long-term treatment and life skills will not receive these services. Employees of these respective agencies have also been faced with heavier workloads and increased stress. This can also cause public safety risks for the overall community, especially law enforcement or other authorities, because those who have gone down the wrong path are not receiving adequate treatment.
We would like to thank the following individuals for their contributions to our project.